What's up guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Realistic Career Mode. This is episode number 57. We're starting today's episode off in the back of the last episode where we moved to Chelsea and moved teams for the first time in the save. The lads from West London had a shambolic season by their very high standards last year, finishing in 8th place, being dumped out of the EFL Cup in the semis, the FA Cup in the last 16, and the Champions League at the first knockout round as well. When we took over, 20 players had their deals up in 2 months. I managed to talk a few of them round, but I let a lot and most of the players leave on free transfers. We inherited a small squad, an ageing team, with a big budget and big expectations. I knew I had to get to work straight away in my first summer window as Chelsea manager. So on the back of making my first signing as Chelsea manager, Hector Busquets coming in from the Saints as our new backup goalkeeper for Edouard Mendy to replace Kepa, I had to get to work in filling the squad out and also bringing in some good young players as we look to assemble a new core with Chelsea. My first signing of today's massive rebuild episode was this guy, former Chelsea Academy graduate, moving on to the South Coast with Brighton, playing and developing his game under Graham Potter. Well, Brighton were relegated last season. I said it at the back end of season 3. I was going to look to raid their team as Southampton manager. Now I'm doing it as Chelsea manager. Tariq Lamptey, welcome home, back in West London, relegated with Brighton, but too good for the Championship at 81 overall and just 23 years old. We need an understudy for Reece James. We need more depth, and Lamptey is the perfect player to come in and learn under Reece James. Chelsea wing-backs, both out of the academy, the perfect fit, I would say, as our new backup right-back. But I also knew I needed a new centre-back as well. Ginter is going to leave. He's on the transfer list right now, and of course we let a couple of players go at the end of last season too, including Sarr as well. I wanted a new centre-half, and I wanted a young English player that we could develop for the future, and whilst he's not as young anymore in the game, he's now 26 years old, entering the prime of his career, I thought this guy would be a perfect fit. Former Canary, now a Toffee, you know who he is. It's Ben Godfrey. Out of contract at the end of the season with Everton, his career has stalled. Everton during the save haven't been a great team, so if he wants to play in European competitions and be an England regular, he needs to take the step up. He's going to do so. We signed him for just under valuation, with Everton having Godfrey's deal at come the end of the year. They didn't want to lose him for free. They cash in whilst they can in the summer, get just shy of 30 million, and Godfrey comes in, 5-year deal, £85,000 a week, and part of our new back 5. Ben Godfrey, really quick centre-half, medium-high work rates, physically really good, a decent passer of the ball as well, and in as part of our new back line. I'm really happy with that signing right there. So Godfrey comes in, Lamptey returned, and as I continued to assemble this Chelsea core, I thought, right, okay, we want to have a bit of a British core like we had with Southampton, right? You know, we want to form our own identity with Chelsea. We want the core and we want the academy graduates. Now, I had 2 names on my shortlist for my new striker long term to replace Romelu Lukaku. I would have loved Lautaro Martinez at Inter Milan, but I think right now probably just not right for Chelsea based on where we are in the save. But bringing this guy back was always going to be a target of mine. Yep, moving on to Roma in the summer to play under Jose Mourinho. He's got a buyback clause at Roma with Chelsea in real life, whilst he's moved on in the game and come back to London to play at Arsenal. Tammy Abraham, Chelsea Academy graduate. Arsenal last season, like us, finished outside of the European places, so there's no European football at the Emirates for this season, which means that this was quite a realistic signing. He's not taking a step down. He's coming back home to where he was loved. Tammy Abraham gave him the same contract, no, a slight pay increase, than what he's on right now at Arsenal to return to Stamford Bridge. 26 years old, 85 overall. He's always had a fantastic goal to game ratio, and I really want to bring back quite a few former Chelsea Academy graduates. We've already got Tariq Lamptey. We still have Mason Mount and Reece James as well. And now Abraham is returning as well. A pretty penny paid to get him away from the Emirates Stadium. But this guy is just a complete forward. He's tall, he's strong, he's quick, he's a brilliant finisher, and he's got great ball control. So nimble for a player of his height and stature as well. Tammy Abraham in the prime of his career right now. I'm going to say to Romelu Lukaku, I gave you the contract extension, you're staying, but the future's now. Abraham, 5 years younger, a great player to be modelled on Lukaku's game. He's got a much better first touch, and I believe he'll have a better goal-to-game ratio as well. So 4 signings made, we'd already spent over 100 million bringing in these players, and with just over 50 million remaining, Lamptey, Abraham coming back to Chelsea, Godfrey and Busquets coming in, 3 English players and a young French shot stopper as well. I thought, do you know what? I've got to sell a couple of players as well. We've got a really thin squad here with Chelsea, but I've got to sell a couple of deadwood players here who have no long-term future. One of those players, Bobby Firmino, former Liverpool and Hoffenheim forward. We just brought in Tammy Abraham, which means he'd be 3rd choice striker behind Abraham and Lukaku as well. Bayern Munich were interested. I thought it was quite a realistic destination for Firmino to end his career back in the Bundesliga after his days at Hoffenheim, but now going to Bayern as a successor for Robert Lewandowski, and for 29.5 mil, I could see that. I really could. I like that a lot. So Firmino's going, but one thing I couldn't see was this. Yeah, you know we're looking for realistic destinations for our players. Romelu Lukaku just signed a contract extension, and Liverpool want to buy him. Really? I don't see that. I don't think he's Jurgen Klopp's type of forward, if I'm being honest. So, yeah, Lukaku is going to be staying here. Just signed a contract extension, so there'd be no point in selling him. I mean, I'm not necessarily against selling players who have just signed an extra 1 or 2 years, but it's, you know, unlikely he would leave. And if he is going to leave, it's very unlikely to go to a team like Liverpool, where he doesn't really fit the system. As for Paxton, I'm going to sell him. We negotiated a deal with Ajax there of £4 million, as Bobby Firmino did indeed go to the Allianz Arena. That, to me, seems like more of a realistic fit than Chelsea, if I'm being honest here. I could see him at Bayern, I couldn't see him at Chelsea personally. But yeah, Firmino gone as Paxton's deal to Ajax fell through here. Bit of a shame. And also Dortmund wanted Ethan and Padu on loan. I'm going to try and loan out some of my squad players as well, because I want to try and develop them like we saw Busquets develop last year with Southampton. He grew 6 ratings out on loan at Augsburg. So for Ethan and Padu, very decent young Welsh player. He spent some time playing in Germany, of course, on loan at RB Leipzig. So I thought it was relatively realistic. He'll get more game time at Dortmund and here at Chelsea, I believe. And I already had a player to replace him through the middle of the park who's better than he is right now. And after their relegation, I said Brighton have got some really good talent that's too good for the Championship. This is one of them. His brother has just arrived, and now we're going to sign the other son of Lilian Thuram, the French legend. You know who it is, Khéphren Thuram, the very tall, physical midfielder. We signed him from Brighton for around £45 million, and this guy definitely deserved a wage increase. Definitely deserves to be playing Premier League football. He's 82 rated and just 23 years old, and I definitely see this guy as a long-term successor for N'Golo Kante. French just like Kante, but 10 years younger than the former Fox. 23 years old, and this guy's energy is unbelievable. He really is a jack of all trades. He can do everything. High work rates, 3-star. The solid player trait, which you know I love, and really this guy is the perfect box-to-box alongside Mason Mount. He's got some absolutely superb stats. He really can do everything. And for N'Golo Kante, who's taken the armband here with Chelsea now since Cesar Azpilicueta has gone, I don't think I'm going to replace him in the first season because I love Kante to pieces, but Thuram from season 2 onwards will definitely be a starter, and I think it's a long-term success for N'Golo Kante. We've got the perfect fit there, and I love the fact we've got a pair of brothers in the team now, Marcus Thuram and now Khéphren Thuram as well. Lilian Thuram's going to get Chelsea season tickets for free, no doubt about it, but we also signed this guy as well as the rebuild continues. Found him on the free agents list. I'm not going to sign those amazing free agents that you find after 3 or 4 years that are like 19 years old and already 82 overall. But I've got this guy though. He's 75 overall, just 17 years old. He looks like a Vasquez regen. I might be wrong. If you think this guy is a regen of someone, let me know in the comments whose regen you think he is. But I think it's Vasquez's regen. Right back and right wing listed positions, but a left-footed player who to me should be playing as a left wing back in this team, and it'd be a perfect left wing back for Ben Chilwell and also Jose Gaya as well as a third choice option to learn under the pair. Great energy energy, very quick, and looks good when going forward as well. He looks like a really decent player for the future with the exciting prospect tag too. So Zampadu went out to Borussia Dortmund. He won't get any game time here at Stamford Bridge. He's behind so many players. Kante, Mount, Thuram now coming in, Billy Gilmore as well. I think it was best to let him go out on loan. We also decided to sell this guy back to Germany. Matthias Ginter, out of contract in the summer. I said I was going to let him go. 30 years old, an 84 overall, a decent player. We've already got De Vrij as an aging centre-half. We don't need another one. Bayer Leverkusen put in a bid. We managed to negotiate a £32 million deal, and he's going to go to the buy arena in this summer window. We've done so much business with Leverkusen over the course of the save. First with the Saints, and now with Chelsea, but he's off to the buy arena, and I'm totally fine with that. Ginter wasn't going to get a new deal. I gave one to De Vrij, but I'm fine letting Matthias Ginter go, as we accept this bid here for Paxton from FC Metz. And speaking of De Vrij, we did have another bid here for him. Liverpool putting in a bid of 35.9 mil, but again, he's just signed a contract extension, so it's unlikely he's going to go. Unless he was included as part of a swap deal, for example, it's unlikely a player would leave after they've just signed a new contract. And Kante was wanted by Napoli as well, but we're keeping him here. He's taken the armband now from Aspilicueta since he's moved on to Leicester in the game, and Kante is staying as my captain for at least season 1. So as Ginter does go to Bayer Leverkusen for 32 mil, once again a bid for De Vrij, and again just signed a contract extension, so it's very unlikely to leave after signing a new deal here. So I decided to block off as to the realism. And also we saw here as well another bid for Paxton after turning down another offer, this time from Deportivo Alaves. He's only 24 years old, the American, but at 73 overall, I really don't think this guy's got a long-term future. And to be honest here, as an American, I can see him playing somewhere in Europe, you know, but not here at Chelsea. Just doesn't really have the ability to succeed in this team with so many class wingers we've got. A loan offer for Hall from Bournemouth. We're going to try and loan him out to the Vitality Stadium for this season. And also a bid for Nicholas Saul as well, 28 years old. Now at 86 overall, he's one of the best players in the team. I'm not against letting the German go. I have no plans to sell him, but if a Champions League standard club comes in for him, I will let him go for the realism. We don't need to sell him, and I don't want to sell him. He's our best centre-half at 86 overall, but for the realism, if a big club comes knocking and they're in the Champions League, I'll let him go for the realism. But Everton, right now, struggling in the save. I just don't think that's very realistic as Hall gets loaned out here to Bournemouth, and also Paxton once again turns down a move this time to Deportivo Alaves as we reject this bid here for Trevor Chalobah from Leicester City. And the final signing I'll make in today's episode as the rebuild is continuing was this guy right here. Now obviously after selling Firmino, we've only got two strikers in the team, Lukaku and our new man back at Stamford Bridge, Tammy Abraham. I decided to sign a South Korean player, mainly because, you know, all the big clubs traditionally have like at least one player from Asia, you know, Heung-min Son, of course, at Spurs, Tommy Yasu at Arsenal, Minamino at Liverpool, for example. I wanted a player as well, you know, for the revenue, for the merchandising, for the marketing in Asia, but also a player that could possibly be a really solid squad player for us. And I really like to look at this guy. It's Jong San-bin of Grasshopper Zurich, 22 years old, but 75 overall. The fact of the matter is, he's not going to get much game time ahead of Lukaku and Abraham, but as a squad player, it just reminds me of like Minamino. He's like our Minamino in this team. Jong Sang-bin, we agreed a reasonably good deal with Grasshopper Zurich, including Paxton, who wasn't going to get any game time here, but he'll certainly get it away in Switzerland. And Jong Sang-bin arrives. And I used to sign like South Korean players and Japanese players way back in the day. This is a bit of a throwback for me, but also for the realism as well, to try and get our revenue up from the Asian market. Jong Sang-bin is in again at 22 years old, 75 overall. He's quick, man. This guy is really quick and looks like a solid player. So for today's rebuild, this is the business. And Pardew out on loan, Ginter and Firmino both in their 30s, leaving to the Bundesliga. Abraham back for 72.5, Thuram in for 43, Lamptey back for 27, Godfrey back for 27, the youngster Asenjo in on a free, and Jong Sang-bin in for 7 million plus Paxton as well. A crazy amount of money spent in today's episode as we look to assemble our new core. We've got some Chelsea Academy graduates back. Ben Godfrey is in as we look to bring in some more English talent here with Chelsea. And with a month to go before the transfer window slams shut and £67 million still in the budget, this rebuild is not done yet. But that will end today's episode of the Realistic Career Mode, guys. Massive thank you for watching. Really hope you have enjoyed. If you have, then please do drop a like. Myself to you all, have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode as the rebuild continues with more signings to come very soon.